Baseball fans, thank you guys so much for chiming in for post-game coverage here on WardyNYM. This being after a massive 8-4 victory for the Amazons against the Miami Marlins. Same time, Chris Bassitt took on the Marlins. This time, he did give up a couple runs. He did get worked a little bit today. There were definitely still positives on his front and his final spring start until you guys see him pitch next, which will be during, yes, the regular season, as exciting as that is. A lot of breakdown. Whole lot of offense in this game that I'm very excited to break down for you guys, sharing the individual statistics, advanced numbers, and of course, breaking down your reactions from today's game as we now look ahead to the upcoming schedule for the Mets. They have a couple more spring training games, and then it is the regular season before we know it. But before we go any further, to everyone here in the live stream, I want to do a quick roll call, and for people on replay, we'll go right around, upwards of a half hour. That's where I'll cut things off for you guys. But if you watch during the live stream, we'll be going live for probably an hour today or so before we have our last live stream today around 8 p.m. Eastern time, breaking down everything regarding the New York Mets on the trade rumor front. So a lot to get into. Let's start. I'm going to do a quick roll call. How's everybody doing? Thomas, Peter, Dave, great friend and subscriber on the channel. Anthony, how's it going? Mac Cheese. Let's see. Brendan, Paulie, Mets Nation, Ellie, how's it going? Sprite, great member on the channel. HMJ, Dolores, Frank, Scott, great member on the channel. Carlos, Dominic, a great member on the channel. How's it going, my man? Let's see. Haim, Jose, Darren, great friend and subscriber, member on the channel. Brendan, great member on the channel. Optic, David, great member as well. Greg, Jubilee, DJ Hector, Explosive, all you guys, thank you all so much for chiming in. Everyone that's chiming in right now, appreciate every single one of you, Guardians of Chaos. How's it going, everybody? Like I said, I'll be answering all your questions as soon as humanly possible. But if you guys don't know how post-game coverage works, which we'll be doing basically almost after what will feel like every single game during the regular season, I'll be sharing all my analysis. We have the key highlights here for you guys to watch and chime in on in case you missed the game. But this was a big game for the Mets, especially after a couple clunkers in recent spring games. As we know, the day after all the news regarding Dominic Smith and where he's going to land. And again, that's what we'll be touching on in the live stream later today. And after the trade that transpired today between the Yankees and the Mets still had a game to play today. And boy, oh boy, did they show out offensively. Pablo Lopez, they took advantage of a couple of days ago, last time Chris Bassitt matched up against him, and they got him out of the game early. Lopez is a very solid starter and is expected to be a crucial part of that rotation for the Marlins this year, should they not trade him. And he got worked again today by the Mets. Got pulled not even two innings in. Then he came back in the game because in spring training, you can actually leave the games and then come back, but the Mets still took advantage. So what a plethora of offense that we saw tonight, folks. As you see here, the key guys, what really stood out to me in this game was a lot of things, especially, and Chris Bassitt, again, didn't have his best outing by any means, but was still able to work things, and again, got to 90 pitches, so even though it's over 5 innings, I'm glad he got to 90. He's fully stretched out now, and he'll be ready to go for the season. But, folks, let's take a look at what happened for the Mets offensively today. We all saw, if you guys were watching the game, but man, oh man, so Robinson Cano, the Mets had an entire starting lineup out today, with the only exception of maybe Cano not being the starting the guy at DH because Dom Smith has been doing so well. But with Dom Smith's future as uncertain as ever right now, given these trade rumors, Cano, of course, gets the start today. And Cano, what does he do? Before Dom then comes in for Pete Alonso later in the game and has a really nice, almost home run. It ended up being a ground rule double, so Dom continues to kill it no matter what's happening. But Cano went 4 for 4 today. One of them was really a throwing error to first that let him get an easy 2-bagger, but Cano had a tremendous day, his best day at the plate as a New York Met this spring. It's kind of funny how it took, I know that they aren't connected, but it is just funny how Cano's best day this spring is ironically the day after we hear all these rumblings about Dom Smith and potentially JD Davis as well, because he's always in rumors until he's not, right? So it was awesome to see how Cano did today, and everyone else offensively, Marte, Alonso, Nito, Escobar, all these guys chimed in and gave a really strong offensive production. So I'm going to go through the offensive lineup today for the Mets quick, and then I want to break down a lot on the pitching, because the pitching, again, Chris Bassitt wasn't a stud today, but he got the job done, and that's perfectly fine. He is human after all, and he's going to be crucial for the Mets in this rotation this year after Jacob deGrom being down, as we know, for a minimum of 2 months. He was very frustrated. He spoke publicly today about it, as unfortunate as it is, and I do feel for the man, because obviously he's not satisfied, and it's completely caught him off guard. Max Scherzer, he'll be throwing a bullpen this Tuesday, and that'll really dictate if he'll be able to start the season on time for the Mets and either pitching opening day, pitching the second game, which is what he was originally scheduled for. I'll be in attendance for that game, no matter who pitches. And then, again, we'll see what happens. But getting into the offensive lineup for the Mets today, and again, guys, if you're just chiming in, make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. As always, folks, it does mean a lot. Can help us get to 200 likes by the end of the live stream. Post-game coverage, always appreciate it, no matter if you're watching live or in replay. But Brandon Nimmo, what a day for Brandon Nimmo. Brandon Nimmo had a textbook Brandon Nimmo day at the plate. And I do realize I have a typo in the text down there. It says B Mets. I do apologize. I'll fix that in a minute. Actually, let me fix that right now because I know it's going to bother me if I don't do it. So if I lag for a second, I do apologize, everybody. Shouldn't lag too much. I just got to fix. I don't know why a B snuck in there. Probably because the last thing I had in the text said breaking news from Jacob deGrom's injury the other day, unfortunately. But okay. Getting into Brandon Nimmo had a very Brandon Nimmo day. He was 1 for 2 at the plate with 2 walks and got on base 4 times. You're talking 2 walks, an error, and also just legging one out for an infield single. So thankfully, Marlins had 3 defensive errors today, which led to some runs for the Amazons. But Brandon Nimmo had as textbook of a Brandon Nimmo day at the plate as you could expect. Even with him not hitting gap to gap or anything like that, not hitting out of the infield, he was still able to get on base 4 times. And that tells you just how pivotal a player like Brandon Nimmo is for the Mets, leading off the way this season. Even though I will say there is a fair argument to be had about who should bat leadoff between Brandon and Marte, and I really think either one will suffice really strong. But what we did see right in the beginning of the game was Brandon Nimmo was on second, was on second, and Marte was on first, and Nimmo ended up getting caught out at third, even though I will say that it did look like he was in fact safe, or it was him going to second. Either way, I'm getting them confused. But Nimmo looked safe. They still called him out. Marte has the most speed, obviously, out of anyone in this lineup that's starting outside of Jankowski. So there is an argument to be had where if you maybe want Marte to bat leadoff every now and then while Nimmo's in the 2-hole, that could be justified because while Marte, yes, I know he has more power, so you want him behind the first guy, he also has the most speed. So if you want someone to lead the way to start things offensively, that definitely makes a lot of sense for you, in my opinion. So either way, I love what I saw from Nimmo today. And then we go down further here. Starling Marte, what a game. I mean, every single time this guy's on the field, he's doing something special, either with the glove or offensively. 2 for 4 today, had a run scored, the 2 RBIs, as you see there, a walk. Just Marte, he just gets on base. He's just such a well-rounded player. I'm loving every second that I see of this man. Really do. And again, everyone first chiming in, folks. I'll be answering plenty of your questions soon. Nathan, try to pump it down slightly on the spam if you don't mind. That's all I ask, just so other people can get their thoughts in the live stream. But going down the list further here, Francisco Lindor had a bad day at the plate, but again, he's not going to be hot every day. Lindor hasn't really hit much his past 2 games, but that's fine. 0 for 5 today with an RBI at least. Really an opposite field RBI, which is exactly what you need to do when you have less than 2 outs. You know, the Mets are still gaining those outs. Marte was on third. That's how Lindor drove in the run with an RBI ground out. So it's not terrible. Pete Alonso had a really good day at the plate today. 2 for 4, 2 runs scored, 2 extra base hits thanks to those Devils, both down the third baseline right around there. So love to see that from Pete today. Dom Smith, again, came in after Pete Alonso today. Only had 1 at-bat and had a near home run. Looked fantastic for Dom. Had a double on his only at-bat. Dom continues to rake. He has a 409 average and a roughly 1,300 OPS in spring. So regardless on what Dom's future holds, he's not going to let things stop him from playing his best baseball, and that's what you love to see. And now we go forward here. Eduardo Escobar had himself a beautiful home run today. His 3rd home run of spring, 1 for 4 with a run scored and an RBI. Because of that, J.D. Davis did not get himself a hit today. Only 1 at-bat, had a strikeout. Robinson Cano, we just talked about him, of course. Hayden Senger, who came in as a DH later in the game, did not get anything. Catcher playing in the minors for the Mets. Mark Canha was 0 for 4 today. Not a great day at the plate. Canha has not had a great spring thus far. He has had a home run or 2, but for the most part has yet to really get fully acclimated with the New York Mets. Then we have Jeff McNeil. McNeil looked fantastic at the plate today. Was 1 for 4 with a run scored. But it's how these outs are happening, which is what has stood out to me so much about Jeff McNeil. He's making fantastic barrel to the ball, whether that's dead center or in the gaps, and really being the shift a lot too. So McNeil, 1 for 4 with a run scored. I'm not phased. He's getting on base. I'm really liking what I'm seeing from McNeil this spring. He just, again, the more I see Jeff McNeil and his swing, it looks shortened, it looks more compact, and he just looks like a guy that is fully destined to have quite the bounce back year for the Mets. And then you have Tomas Nido. Tomas Nido is probably the biggest and most underrated story today, the most underrated story of spring for the Mets. He went 3 for 4 today with a run scored. What a beauty and an RBI. And I don't think there's any denying that Tomas Nido must, in fact, be the Mets opening day catcher. Now, how much time he gets this season, we'll see, because the Mets are dealing with a hefty contract. And McCann, are you really going to have McCann, split time strictly 50-50 with Nido? I think Nido has proven that he is the starting catcher for the Mets right now. But whether the Mets are going to operate as such or if they're really going to give McCann maybe 60-40, I don't know. But what I can tell you is that there is no chance that Nido has not deserved to be getting, at minimum right now, half the playing time this season with McCann to start the season. And again, they'll base things on matchups, of course, what pitchers may prefer, because some pitchers do have a preference. Whether that's a good thing or not is yet to be determined. Everyone can have their opinions, but regardless, Nido has had a fantastic spring, taking full advantage of every opportunity given to him. He's a great framer, great arm defensively, and he's had the bat. He's swinging the bat at a tremendous rate, a 455 average, over 1,100 OPS this spring. Things you'd love to see is Tomas Nido doing exactly that. But getting into the pitching, folks, this is what I want to deep dive for a little bit, because like I said, Chris Bassitt did not have a bad day at all. Look, yes, he gave up 2 home runs to the 2 home run hitters, coincidentally enough, for the Miami Marlins. They gave up a base hit that ended up being a run too, but the home runs were from newly crowned Miami Marlin Jorge Soler, just easy home run right in the beginning. And then Jesus Aguilar, as soon as he made contact, I was like, yep, that's gone. And it did. It just got past the glove of Canna in left field. It was close for it to be caught, but it wasn't. So 2 homers, then gave up an RBI single at least. So not the best day for Bassitt, but I do want to look at his numbers a little bit further, because I did look at his velo, and it was lower than what you normally see from Bassitt. And I don't really think there's much to read into that. I just want to go a little bit further in his numbers here through Baseball Savant before we get to the relievers for the Mets, because Chase and Shreve, boy, oh boy, that man, yeah, that's my lefty for the pen. So now the Mets have that duo between not just Chase and Shreve, but also who they just acquired today for Miguel Castro, that being in Joely Rodriguez, that we broke down in a video earlier today. So make sure to check it out if you haven't already, folks, in case you're curious who he's about, what was that trade about, all that fun stuff. But Chris Bassitt today worked his entire arsenal, his 6-pitch arsenal, used all those pitches from as low as 7% with the curveball to 28%, which was as high with the sinker. So let's get into it, folks. Okay, so now as I'm looking through the Baseball Savant numbers, one thing that is clear is that his fastball velo, the average was down today by 2.5 miles per hour. So again, should we read much into that? I don't think we should. He doesn't have ailments or anything like that. Just was a little lower on the fastball today than what we're accustomed to. All the other pitches, though, for the most part, were fine. He was down actually a mile per hour on the cutter, but when it comes to the slider, he was up a mile per hour. And actually, let me look. The sinker, the fastball, the curveball. My mistake. Yeah, most of his pitches actually today, he was down between a mile and 2+ miles an hour. So again, I really don't think that there's much to be concerned about there. But it is interesting, I will say that much, that his velo was down by a tick or two. But to get into it, his sinker utilized that 28% of the time tonight. Today, I should say. I keep saying tonight because I'm used to night games. Topped out right around 93 miles per hour. The minimum on the fastball today was 89 miles per hour. So an average of 90. His yearly average is usually right around 93 miles per hour. So take that as you will. Slider, 27 miles per hour. 85 miles per hour is where he topped out. Minimum was 71 miles per hour. So we're talking a 15 mile per hour gap with his slider. And that's what I probably love most about his slider. The fact that he has so much diversity, so much dimension to that pitch. He can throw you a slider as low as his curveball around 70 to 71 miles per hour, or he can throw it upwards of, being 85 plus. So the average was 78 today, but I just love how much difference he has with that pitch in itself. Then the changeup that we got to for 13%, the changeup today, 88.5. So really right around 89 miles per hour. The minimum was 82.8, so 83 miles per hour. And the average was 85 miles per hour, which was right around the average for his changeup. So that wasn't any different at all. Cutter, 13% as well. 91 miles per hour is where he topped out. 86 is where he was at the minimum, and 88 is where he sat really for the average. So he was just around a mile per hour off on the cutter today versus his norms. And his four-seam fastball, 12% usage today, topped out 92 miles per hour, minimum 90 miles per hour, sat 91, just over. And that was 2 miles per hour down than what he's accustomed to. And then curveball, 7% today, topped out 71 miles per hour. Minimum was 68.69 miles per hour. Nice. What a nasty curveball he had for a strikeout on Jorge Soler earlier, after Soler, of course, hit a home run off of him from the first at-bat. And then average 72 miles per hour. So that's down by 2 miles per hour too. So in a nutshell, to talk about regarding Chris Bassitt and his velo today, am I concerned? No, because there's no reason for me to be concerned. God forbid if this was a situation where you saw he was ailing and he was injured, yeah, then I would be concerned. But this feels like a start for him. They maybe dialed it back a little bit, because Bassitt has made something abundantly clear, especially if he is getting worked with his pitches. He is not the type to continue trying to pump out the velo, but to be selective about his pitches and really just get those out. So Bassitt, he's not known for his velo. That's something that you will see him fluctuate with his four-seam fastball and others throughout the season based on the type of game he's working with. If he's cruising, then he's going to sit more so as average, but it clearly tells you that if he is going to get worked in a game a little bit, especially an inning like he had in the fourth today, that is where naturally you could see the velo a little bit down, if that means that he's trying to really perfect where that location is going to be. But Bassitt, very solid outing, not complaining at all. Again, he's not going to be a stud every game, and why should he, right? It's not going to happen. At spring training, his final start, now he has a 3.72 ERA. Again, just a base ERA for spring training. That's it. That's his numbers heading into now the regular season. And Chasen Shreve, folks, what a day for him. Chasen Shreve, the lefty for the New York Mets, former New York Met that they then acquired again this offseason. And man, oh man, Chasen Shreve has now pitched 4 scoreless, no-hit innings in spring this year with 6 strikeouts. He added another 2 strikeouts in an inning pitch today. Just beautiful stuff from Chasen Shreve. He's 1,000% the Mets' go-to as a lefty in the pen, and right behind him, of course, is now that being in Rodriguez, who they acquired from the Yankees today, and Trevor Williams. Williams started off the game good, got worked in the 9th inning, but still got out of it unscathed in 3 innings pitched for Trevor Williams, who is going to be a factor for this Mets rotation, maybe a little bit more than we originally expected, given the injuries to Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer. What is his health going to look like to start the season? We'll find out over the next couple of days. The Williams, who can be a spot starter or a normal starter, a big innings eater coming out of that pen. That's what I love about Williams, is the fact that you have a lot of different possibilities with someone like him. And the Mets need guys that can give you options, because injuries are naturally going to happen. Even if they add more via trade, which I fully expect them to, you still need to have those guys that are depth guys that can really be utilized any which way, however you want to throw them in there. But Williams, 3 innings pitched, gave up 4 hits, no earned runs, no runs scored, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. So Williams has yet to give up a run this spring. Solid stuff from him. Got worked a little bit in the 4th, but was able to get out of the jam unscathed with bases loaded. So huge tip of the cap to Trevor Williams there. But with that being said, folks, I think we really spoke on everything for the most part. Pitching wise, we just broke that all down. Offensively, we did too. So to everyone, I really just want to ask, how do you feel about this game? Did you like this game for the Mets? Did you like the positivity? I mean, offensively, again, this was offense galore today. It was as simple as that. I mean, if you just looked at what the Mets did today and you look at these numbers through Warriors' top 5 here, I mean, how can you go wrong? Mets number 1 DH, potentially should one or both of Dom and JD be dealt prior to the season beginning. Robinson Cano, promising day. Again, his best spring game of spring. It's kind of funny how the timing works with this. And again, I'm not comfortable committing with Cano as my everyday DH, but he definitely had a good day at the plate today. So we'll see how the Mets evaluate that, and then we'll go from there. So offensively, again, for the Mets today, hits-wise, I believe they had 15 hits. They were working the count. They were doing a lot of good things today against Pablo Lopez, who, again, did struggle a little bit today against the New York Mets. Not the first time he struggled against the Mets either. So yeah, Mets had 15 hits to the Marlins 10, but the run difference ended up being those 4 runs that gave the Mets the victory in the end. So going to look through the chat quick to see how everyone's feeling. Again, appreciate everyone being here. If you are, please make sure to smash that like and subscribe button. As always, folks, it's always appreciated. Mets won today 8-4. We'll be breaking it down for quite a bit more, but for everyone that's watching this on replay, this is where we're going to cut things off. And again, if you want to see the entire segment, the hour segment, just keep those notifications on after subscribing if you haven't already, so that way you can get all your questions answered in a live time here in these post-game coverages after every single Mets game this season.